I want to show you something. It's not a collection of the AI tools I use. It's a system with a structure, a memory, a voice, and a brain. I call it my AI team. And today, I'm taking you on a full house tour of the whole thing. There are 6 parts to the house. Each one solves a different problem. So the first thing I built was a filing system. It's almost like the skeleton and the framework of the whole house. All the information about me, my launches, my strategies, my content, all live here. But it's so easy to reference because it's like a regular file explorer. And this is possible because I use Claude Code, the most powerful version of Claude, inside Google Anti-Gravity. So that allows me to use Claude Code without knowing a single word of code. So let me show you here. Look at all these folders on the side here. Let's take Post Office, for example. Post Office is where all my content-related files are. There are the platform queue files, 1 per platform. This is Facebook. This is what is going out this week. And then this is the idea bank, where it's a queue of all the ideas that I have for subsequent weeks of Facebook posts. When a post goes live, it moves here to archive under posted Facebook. Nothing disappears, nothing lives only in my head. Everything is a systematic approach. The next thing I want to show you is the foundation. This is really what allows me to use Claude Code never losing context. So I don't need to repeat myself every time. I don't need to remember what I've told it and what I've not, because I fed it once when I set this system up and everything flows from here. That's very much unlike when I used to use ChatGPT. So even though I use ChatGPT quite well in my opinion, I even built custom GPTs for myself, every time I open a new session, it's a fresh context. And I ended up having really long sessions because I didn't want to lose context. And what do I mean by context? It's the things that it knows about me, my business, my voice, my preferences. So I have to spend time re-explaining myself in ChatGPT before. Now, in my AI setup, I built a foundation. So I took some time, a couple of hours, to have all this be ready to feed into Claude so that Claude Code knows everything about me permanently. My business context, my values, how I like to work, my non-negotiables, my human design. Feedback, I give it over time. So it evolves, it keeps getting better. It's all here. In this folder over here, under Claude, if you see, under references, these are all the information about me. So for example, for my business strategies, I have a lot more references about me because I have some profiling done besides human design, and then my business offers, my ideal client. When I set this AI system up, I fed it all that inside references. So let me show you an example now. If I put in this prompt, read my memory file and my project dashboard, then tell me what are the 5 most important things you know about how I work and what's the current priority for my AI course. This is what I love about it. See, 5 things that matter most about how I work. I'm a human design splenic projector, voice precision is non-negotiable. So these are all the things I told it not to say or use. So I like to say children, not kids. I spell mom as M-O-M, not M-U-M. AI is a space creation play, not a productivity play. So what I do with AI is actually to use it to give moms their time and their head space back. So it's not really to make them more productive. And that's why you don't see me talking about every single new tool in town. I basically found something that works and I teach that. No sidetracking, chasing after shiny objects, going down rabbit holes. No, it's really to create space so that the mom has space to do inner work through human design. So when ideas run dry, being interviewed is better than generating code. So I have gone through a stage where I thought I was running out of ideas because my system was generating posts so quickly, and I told it, can you ask me questions? So interview me, pull the ideas out of me, and that's what it remembers. And always verify before reporting. So there were a couple of times where it gave me false information. So I told it to verify first before it comes back to me. Almost like an intern, isn't it? Like the first time it starts to work, sometimes they are quite clueless. And when I catch certain mistakes, I call it and I would give it specific instructions for it not to happen again. And it remembers. This is what it knows about me. And a lot of times I don't even need to proactively ask. Later on, you see that if it knows about me, sometimes the things that I ask it to do or when I'm making decisions, it will actually give me feedback. After I gave it all this foundation, the first thing it impacted was when I think up of my business strategies. I used to make business decisions alone, sometimes just before bedtime, going in circles, second-guessing myself, and not sure if I was leaving anything important out. Previously, when I used ChatGPT, it would just agree with me. It would tell me what I want to hear. And that would make me feel good for a while, but when I am making strategic decisions, sometimes I need some pushback. So that kind of validation that ChatGPT used to give me didn't serve me when I needed to do strategic work. As I showed you earlier, in Pink Strategy, I fed it my business context, my values, my current stage, and the mentors frameworks I work with. So when I bring it a decision, it doesn't just agree. It applies whatever it knows about me, and if my reasoning has a gap, it will tell me. Let me show you. Watch this. I'm going to bring it a real question, and I want you to see what happens when it has context. So I asked, I want to think through a business decision. Before you respond, read my project dashboard and apply what you know about my current stage, my values, my offer. Then I'm considering offering a course on Claude Code since it's so popular right now. What are the 3 strongest arguments against doing this right now? Look, the dashboard is fresh in mind. Here are the 3 strongest arguments against it. It violates the sequence you already agree is right. You are 5 days from your founding cohort. Agreed strategy is to deliver first, extract learnings, and build those in a course structure. A cohort course is a tool course, and your brand is built on being the opposite of that. Your entire positioning is the distinction between using a tool and building the foundation. I teach people to build the foundation. It's not about the tool. So you see, it reminds me that a Claude Code course would teach a tool. And that's what you're already telling your audience isn't the real answer. Launching it will blur the message you've spent months sharpening. So Code launched in January 2026. That's 4 months ago. Anthropic changes, renames, and folds features regularly. A course tied to a specific interface has a short shelf life and a real risk of looking dated within a year. Your existing offer teaches something that doesn't go stale. How to build an AI system that knows your business. That's the asset. Code is just one room in the house you help people build. So you see, it pushed back so hard. The popularity is the threat, not the signal. Popular right now is exactly where everyone rushes in, and your age is that you are not teaching the trend. You are teaching what survives the trend. So that's very aligned with my business vision and mission as well, because I teach mompreneurs to save time and headspace. So the last thing I want is for me to keep changing tools, changing platforms, going from one popular idea to the next one, and overwhelming the mompreneurs even more. So this is really what I love about my system. So the next thing I show you would be the voice skill. Strategy is top down, and after strategy is clear, then that's where content can be created based on. I want to show you how this skill writes in my voice, because it knows exactly how I write, the specific phrases that I use, the things I would never say, how I open a Facebook post versus a LinkedIn post. It knows my human design, my anchor stories, my struggle in the earlier years when my children were younger, my offers. When I ask it to write, it writes like me more than 80% of the time. So the changes I make would be really small. So for this example, I would first go on Claude Chat to show you that prompt, what output it produces, and then after that come back to my AI system using the same prompt, and then you can see what it generates for me. So now when I go to Claude Chat, I ask it to write me a Facebook post about why AI tools don't have to be complicated for mompreneurs. So this is the post that is writing, Real Talk Mama. That's already something I would never say. AI doesn't have to mean complicated. We've all seen the headlines. AI is changing everything, and immediately felt overwhelmed before our second cup of coffee even kicked in. I don't even drink coffee in the morning. So here's what no one tells you. You don't need a tech degree to use AI tools. You just need to know which one solves your actual problems. That's the right concept. So here's how mompreneurs are actually using AI, writing captions, content planning, customer FAQs, product descriptions. Best tools meet you where you are. You type like you talk. You get results you can actually use. That's it. You're already juggling more than most CEOs. AI is not one more thing to learn. It's a thing that finally gives you some time back. Hey, that's quite close to my message. So this is not bad. And drop a yes in the comments if you love a free guide on the easiest AI tools for busy moms in business. Well, that's not really my call to action. They have taken the initiative, as usual, very enthusiastically to offer me a call to action, but that's not what it is for me. So let's see if I were to use the same prompt in my AI system, what result it would generate. So going back to my Claude Code session here, here's the post. Someone asked me recently what my AI system looks like. I think they were expecting something complicated, maybe a big technical diagram, a list of integrations, a screen full of code. I showed them 3 documents and a conversation window. They went quiet for a second. Then, that's it? Yeah, that's it. I spent months thinking I was behind because everyone seemed to know more than me. The tutorials I watched had so many steps. The frameworks people were using were selling 12-week implementation plans. And every time I tried to follow along, I'll get 3 steps in and feel like I was making things worse, not better. So I stopped trying to do it the right way. And I asked myself, what's the 20% that will actually do the job? Turns out, for a mompreneur running her business between school runs, it wasn't a 12-week framework. It was teaching my AI who I am, what I do, and who I serve once, properly. And then talking to it like a team member who actually knows my work. My youngest was asked me if my AI was magic. Honestly, it felt a bit like that at first. But it's not magic. It's just a solid foundation, kept simple. The complicated version exists, but you don't need it. If you've been putting off trying AI because it looks too technical, I want you to know that what I use and what I teach was built for someone who didn't want to spend her weekends becoming a developer. It was built for you. And what's been stopping you from giving it a proper go? Wow, this is definitely a post that I would use after this. It's too good. It speaks so much like me. Exactly what I would say, the way I would say it, it now gives me the few steps ahead. It's telling me that it's safe to queue Facebook in ready to schedule. And this is a problem-aware post. It speaks to women who are curious but intimidated, not yet sold on AI. So this is the kind of posts when you set your foundation and your context right. When your AI knows about you, even what it writes is really very much like you. So it even asked me, want to swap the call to action for a comment trigger, like simple, if you prefer something with a lead capture. So you see, unlike the previous one, where it just enthusiastically offered me a call to action, this one asked a question at the end, but it asked me if I wanted to swap it out. That's how intuitive it is. And a lot of times when I'm working with it, it feels like it's a co-partner. So remember when I showed you post office that there were all these drafts and the queues for the different social media platforms that I'm on. So actually when I want to create content, then it becomes a little bit more complicated because, for example, a post like this is written for Facebook, but it's not really that much of an Instagram friendly post or optimized for LinkedIn in the more professional tone. What I did was to create platform managers, one for Facebook, one for Instagram, and one for LinkedIn. But before I show you quick context on what I actually do so that this will make more sense, I'm a mompreneur coach and my content covers 4 pillars: coming back to yourself after burnout, honest business, which is building without hustle, parenting while figuring yourself out, AI tools that actually work for mompreneurs. So 3 platform agents, 4 content pillars, and 1 session. And they all already know this because it's in the foundational files we looked at earlier, right? They read the Q files, they propose content, I approve, they draft, and then they put it ready to post. So it all connects, right? From initially the post office where it all lives, and then my ping voice skill, so it knows how I write, and then now it's all linked up in one workflow. And let me show you what that looks like. So I'll ask it to run the Facebook Platform Manager, read the Q file, and propose 3 posts for the week, and apply the pillar balance check first. So it calls out the content planning skill, reads the Q file, and content history. And what I mean by asking it to check the pillar balance, have I been too AI heavy lately? Does this week need a coming back to yourself post? Then it will appear in the proposals, because otherwise my content may be a bit skewed to one side. Now look at what I came back with. Pillar balance check, Facebook in the last 2 weeks. So from this week till next, what has been posted and what's going to go out, this is the tally. Coming back to you, completely absent for 2 weeks, so this week must include at least 1. So it gives me 3 of these recommendations. Post 1 is the most important selection. Coming back to you. So I approve the coming back to you post. Write the full draft now. Use ping voice. Go. One note from the drafts file, it specifically flags to add a bridge line at the top of the first coming back to you post after an AI content run. So this was a concern that I keep posting about AI, and then suddenly I come up with a coming back to you post, and it's really a reminder to people that I do AI so that the moms can do the inner work. This is built in. See, so this is the draft. I talk a lot about AI tools on here, but this is the real reason why. You didn't sign up for this to work more. You signed up because you wanted something of your own, something that worked around your family, something that finally gave you a bit of breathing room. And then you became the business. I remember a session where I was answering messages during dinner, planning content at 11 p.m., squeezing client work into the windows between school pickup and homework and cooking and everything else that doesn't stop just because you have a business to run. I was doing everything right. I was showing up, I was consistent, and I was completely burnt out. So this is the kind of post that it will come up for me. And when I approve this, it will be ready to post because now it's already automatically saved in Q Facebook. So this is the workflow that I have for content, and when I trigger it usually every Friday or the weekend, and then I work for the posts for the week ahead. We are coming to the last part of my home tour, And this is my AI telling me what my day looks like. Previously, I would be sitting down at my desk in the mornings and I would just be randomly starting to work on things, or I would be referring to my planner if I had written anything down. What project was waiting, what I promised to follow up on, what decisions were sitting there unresolved. But now I allocated the mental load to my AI system and I just need to ask it this: read my project dashboard and my content queue for this week. Then give me a morning briefing. What's the top priority today? What's pending and needs my attention, and what can wait? So this is my top priority. The reminder to update the thank you page again. Okay, so needs my attention this week, and the content is in good shape. I have the contents for next week, the week after next. I have one draft and then others to confirm. And then what can wait? The course modules, my portal, email nurture sequence, LinkedIn, post revision. Yep. So short version, fixed thank you page, and everything else is in order. So you see, that's so much from my brain. I don't need to hold all that for myself, and I just need to check in and my AI system can give me a run through. So that's my house. The 6 parts with everything connected and all running on Claude Code in Google Anti-Gravity. The filing system, so nothing lives only in my head. The foundation, so it knows me before I say a word. The strategy brain, so I don't need to make decisions alone. The voice, so what comes out is actually mine. The platform agents, so content gets made without all the mental gymnastics. And the morning briefing, so every day starts with clarity instead of confusion. So the tech is Claude Code in Anti-Gravity. But the tech is the least interesting part of this story. And here's the part that always surprises people. I set the whole thing up in less than a day. It's not a 6-month project. It's not complicated. And once you understand what you're building, the foundation, not a collection of tools, it comes together way faster than you think. And the interesting part isn't the setup. It's what made it possible. And I'm not the only one holding it anymore. If that sounds like relief, click on the link below to see how you can learn to set this up for yourself as well.